In one of his most iconic viral classic clips, Ben Shapiro breaks down the irrational logic of the transgender movement to a young politically driven student. Hello and welcome back to Resist the Mainstream, taking a look at some classics today, and I'm Steve Inman, reporting the news that the mainstream won't. Remember to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with more classic videos like this. Well, Ben Shapiro has been in the business of shutting down liberals for a long time now. In fact, today's clip comes from a time when Shapiro was just beginning to gain popularity online due to his intelligent conservative talk points. In the video, the young woman asked Shapiro about why he doesn't believe transgenders are a real thing, to which Shapiro gave a classic response as seen here.
How do you say that some people don't have privilege when you basically just said that trans people aren't valid? They're not a thing. They're just girls pretending to be boys or boys pretending to be girls.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, someone's excited. Okay.
It's biological, but gender is a completely different thing.
No, gender is not disconnected from sex. So.
It's not completely disconnected, but it's still a cultural thing. It's still from society. It's still
Okay.
in the mind.
No, it is not in the mind. Okay. You're not a man if you think you're a man. And I didn't say pretending, or if I did, I shouldn't have said pretending. Let me
You
amend.
said playing.
Okay, I said a boy who thinks he's a girl. That's the usual phraseology I use. Not playing. I usually say a boy who thinks he's a girl or a girl who thinks he's a boy, which is technically what we're talking about here. As far as the actual psychological issues at play, it used to be called gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder. Now they call it gender dysphoria. The idea that sex or gender are malleable is not true. Okay, and I'm not denying your humanity if you're a transgender person. I am saying that you are not the sex to which you claim to be. You're still a human being, and you're a human being with an issue that I wish you Godspeed in dealing with in whatever way you see fit. But if you are going to dictate to me that I'm supposed to pretend that men are women and women are men, no. My answer is no. I'm not going to modify basic biology because it threatens your subjective sense of what you are.
Of course, Shapiro went on to bait the woman into an example that proved his point further. When he asked, "Why can't you be 60?" the woman was promptly stumped and, of course, failed to recognize the irony of the situation, claiming age is not the same as gender. Of course, Shapiro agreed, stating that age is significantly less important than the ridiculousness of the notion that you can identify as whatever you want is pointless and not helpful to anyone. The woman, of course, then veered the conversation towards a legal argument, stating that you can change your identity legally, but Shapiro, of course, had a response for that as well, as seen here.
I will ask you how old you are, okay? Because you're young enough that it's probably not insulting to ask you. So,
I'm 22, so I'm probably young and naive, right?
no, why aren't you 60? Why aren't you 60?
Because it-
And why,
it's something that you
why can't you identify as 60? What is the problem with you identifying as 60?
Because it's not the same as gender. You can't just.
You're right, age is significantly less important than gender. You can't magically change your gender. You can't magically change your sex. You can't magically change your age.
You can still legally change it. People recognize
You can't legally change your age, by the way.
it. Obviously, you can change your name, you can change your sex, you can change your identity.
Just because you can do things legally doesn't mean that they are correct biologically. You could do lots of things in the past that were incorrect biologically and correct legally. For a long period of time in the United States, sterilization of the mentally ill took place. That didn't make it okay. Skinner versus Oklahoma. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote the decision.
Shapiro was clear and confident in his beliefs of what makes a man or woman. You and I know this. We've been following the biological science over the ideology viewpoint, which tends to be unreliable and inconsistent. As always, the woman couldn't seem to grasp Shapiro's argument like most of them can, but they continued to break it down very plainly and directly. He mentioned that while he does not have a personal problem with trans people, he refuses to pretend that biological science doesn't exist. We don't want to play your game, as seen here.
It's not a matter of open-minded and accepting. I want them to get treatment that they see fit, but that's not involving me. The idea behind the transgender movement as a civil rights movement is the idea that all of their problems would just go away if I would pretend that they were the sex to which they claim membership. That's nonsense.
It always goes to show that after all the years, liberal after liberal continue to be dominated by Ben Shapiro and his logical arguments, thanks to science. Science is the basis of the argument. And why shouldn't it be? Because it's science. They don't want to believe in the science unless it benefits them. Do you think there's a difference between biological sex and gender identity? Does it make a difference to society? Am I crazy for even asking this? I shouldn't be, because it's a topic that is freaking all over the place and it's driving us all nuts. Until next time, I'm Steve Inman with Resist the Mainstream. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and of course hit that notification bell for more updates on classic content like we just witnessed.